around the world. The time to fight is here. It's the time we've all been waiting for. It's fight time!
Hello, fans of the sweet and sometimes savage science. Welcome to Talkbox, your pound-for-pound podcast prime destination for all matters boxing. That's news, analysis, interviews, and so much more. It's 60 minutes, championship-grade material, taped at the Everlast Studio in the heart, New York City, hosted by me, Michael Woods. Folks, it's time. Strap on the headgear and the headphones. Let's get into it. It's time for Talkbox. In-studio visit today from Kid Chocolate, Peter Quillin. He was on the ascent, building his brand, winning, nothing but winning. And then he was matched against another young gun, Danny Jacobs. And he got caught, and he got stopped. So he tasted loss. And now it gets interesting. How does he bounce back? Now. He was a fighter before, but now it's a fight. Right? So we're going to hear from Kid Chocolate, Peter Quillin, New York resident. Very much looking forward to hearing what he has coming next, what he thought about that loss, how he's bouncing back. Does he want a piece of Jacobs again? We're going to get into it. Looking at more headlines, folks. And it was a big weekend. It was a nice weekend. It was a joyous weekend for some guys who fought on HBO and some guys who fought on Showtime. If I had to pick one winner of the weekend, do believe it would be Vasyl Lomachenko, who exploded in the minds of many onto an island unto his own. Pound for pound, number one. Some said it before. More are saying it now. Lomachenko threw a filthy, beautiful, beautiful combination which stopped Rocky Martinez. Then he did a front flip, back flip, beautiful thing that was incredibly acrobatic and just gorgeous across the board. What that does is it installs Lomachenko now much more firmly. If he wasn't in your top 20 or your top 10, he probably is now, maybe the top 5. Listen, we have a tendency to sometimes get ahead of ourselves and too early anoint people. This guy has had about 9,746,000 amateur fights, now 6-1 as a pro, and it's clear that the amateur style has now been acclimated into the pro ranks. You want to know, you want to see, what does Lomachenko do next? He's on your must-see list now. Is it Salido next? Do they get Walters out of hiding in Jamaica? What's next for the kid? And Bob Arum, his promoter, yes, occasionally prone to hyperbole. He'll admit it to you. That's one of the reasons why you can't hate on him. He says, this kid, he is unbelievable. He's like an Ali. He's this, that, and the other. And there's some overstatement, yes. Can we at least let him have 20 fights or so before we anoint? But he is superb, fabulous technician. So he probably won the weekend. Another guy who won this weekend, John Molina, California resident who was in as the underdog against Ruslan, Siberian Rocky Provodnikov. I think he was an 8-1 favorite or so, was Provodnikov. But by the end of the night, the theater of the unexpected, another chapter, another installment, Molina had outboxed Provodnikov, who admitted in the ring afterwards in this Showtime affair, which took place, unfolded in Verona, New York at Turning Stone Casino. He said, I don't know if my motivation is there anymore. I don't know what happened. The right guy won. And let us take a moment to do something we shouldn't have to do, which is congratulate the judges on getting it right. We shouldn't congratulate people on merely being competent, but since there is so much incompetence so much of the time, I feel credit is due. They got it right. Molina, behind a persistent jab, This was one of those films where you are a trainer and you could point to it and say, this is what this kid did. Get behind that stick. Get behind that jab. Throw 90 punches around. Stay focused. And you can outbox a guy who is supposed to be the superior banger. John Molina won the weekend, or a portion thereof. Felix Verdejo, is he the next big thing from Puerto Rico? Fewer and fewer people had been saying it in the last half year. They've been underwhelmed by his performances. He looked good. Near great to some if you're on Team Verdejo. He had a guy in front of him who was tailor-made to succumb, shall we say. Somewhat plodding Mexican opponent. And Felix did what he had to do. He stopped him. That's what people were looking for. People close to him, in and around Team Felix, talked to the kid. And they said, listen, you haven't been what we thought you would be for a little bit. Don't know what's going on, man, but perk up. Snap out of it. You're young. You're 23. But we want to see more because we believe in you. And in round 5, combinations, a lot of them missed, but enough of them landed on Juan Jose Martinez that Felix Verdejo got back on track in the minds of many as a future star, but not in the minds of everyone. Number of holdouts. I still see you guys on Twitter, some of you guys who are firing that hashtag at us, hashtag Talkbox, sending us questions for our question segment, telling me, no, Woods, Verdejo, he ain't all that. He might never be all that. So jury's still out. That was one takeaway from the weekend. Another takeaway from the weekend. International Boxing Hall of Fame induction. Hector Camacho, Sr. It's Macho time. It's time for Macho to enter the hall. Lupi Pintor, Hilario Zapata made the hall. Legislator, overseer, Mark Ratner, now works for UFC. He made it in. Friend of Talkbox, Harold Letterman, made it in. Colonel Bob Sheridan, the broadcaster. Jerry Eisenberg, who, was on our second installment of Talkbox, talking Muhammad Ali last week. He made it in. And those guys, they got W's on the weekend. Some good stories emanated from there. Some of my friends reported in, talked to me on Twitter about the various goings-on. I swear on the grave of, what grave? Muhammad Ali's grave. That I'm going to go next year, man, because it looks like a good time, great time, celebrating the best and the brightest, all that is good about the sport. So this weekend, winners galore in Canastota, New York. Hall of Fame induction, the class of 2016. So there's a little headline wrap-up news brief. And folks got to stay tuned because we're going to be talking to Kid Chocolate, Peter Quillin, middleweight contender or super middleweight. That's one of the things we're going to ask him. We're compiling some fan queries. What do you want to know from Kid Chocolate? We're going to pepper him. Combinations of questions, ladies and gentlemen. Much, much more to come. Ladies and gentlemen, graced in studio, Midtown Manhattan, 32 1-1 middleweight, or maybe super middleweight. We're going to talk about this. Kid Chocolate, Peter Quillin, is gracing Talkbox with his presence. Welcome, Kid Chocolate.
Thank y'all for having me. I appreciate being on with you guys.
32 years of age.
Yep.
New York resident.
Yes, sir.
Repping not just New York, repping also Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Yes.
We chatted a little bit before, did a little pre-tape session. Chocolate got stuff going on, boxing and beyond. So we're going to be repping Mississippi and repping here, there, and everywhere. We're going to be having some questions from the fans.